Hello and welcome to News Central TV. This is the news now. My name is Mazino. First, the headlines. Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu orders indefinite closure of Dosumu Market. Liberia Senate approves establishment of War Crimes Court. South Sudan to begin voters registration in June ahead of elections. Details shortly. President Bola Tinubu joined other Muslim faithfuls to take part in prayers in Lagos as Muslims around the world celebrate Eid al-Fitr, which marks the end of the Ramadan fast. In his congratulatory message, the president underscored the essence of Ramadan, which embodies unwavering submission to the will of Allah and the imperative of service to humanity. He extended prayers for the blessings and rewards of Allah to be bestowed upon the faithful, both during this sacred season and beyond. Reflecting on the collective responsibility of nation building, the Nigerian leader also called upon all citizens to unite and recommit themselves to the noble task of shaping the future of Nigeria. In the meantime, Vice President Kashim Shettima has observed the Eid prayers alongside Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum and other families after a month-long Ramadan fast. They sued for peace, social harmony, and development of the nation. News Central's Umaru Kiriawa reports that families trooped in their numbers, adorned with new attires to observe the Eid al-Fitr prayers. Shettima, who was joined by Zulum, expressed his gratitude for being able to celebrate Eid with the people of Borno, a region that has been severely affected by insurgency. He highlighted the significance of unity and harmony during the celebrations, emphasizing the importance of peace and stability in the region.
We are quite excited. Eid Mubarak to all Nigerians. Let's pray for peace, social harmony, and development of our dear nation. That's our prayer. And that's our...
For the second time in 2 weeks, the Dosumu Market in Lagos State has witnessed another fire outbreak involving more than 10 buildings, 4 of which collapsed. News Central's Adishawa Adushoga reports.
From the third mainland ridge, one could see thick black smoke in the skies as we approached the scene of the fire incident at the Dosumu Market.
Just when the victims of the last Dosumu Market fire are not done recovering from their losses, another fire incident has happened right here in the same market but on a separate street, but this time with more severity. About 10 buildings have now been affected by the fire, with many of them bowing to the pressure of the inferno, collapsing to the ground.
According to eyewitnesses, the devastating incident began in the early hours of the morning after an occupant tried to refuel his generator, which resulted in a spark, prompting him to throw the generator out of the building across the street. This unfortunately did not end well, after the little spark soon turned into an inferno, engulfing the entire street, with more than 10 buildings affected.
There should be more equipment from the Lagos State government, and the same problem we're having the last time occurs here again. There is not enough equipment for these people to work.
It's gradually becoming norms in Lagos Island, and considering being a central business district, I think there should be fire hydrant pipes all around here, because not up to 3 weeks ago, we had similar situation, not up to 3 weeks ago.
Victims of the incident, who were predominantly businessmen and women, could be seen trying to salvage their goods from buildings yet to be caught up in flames, while others wailed profusely as they watched their means of livelihood perish before their eyes. Emergency responders who were on the ground during the ugly incident gave varying updates about the cause of the fire and their respective efforts to return normalcy to the market.
We are being holistic in what we are doing, and we now move all these buildings to the next level, and we are pulling them down to zero ground to ensure, one, there is no spread of the fire, two, there is no skipping of the fire from one building to another.
Averagely, most of them are supposed to be commercial, but some people used it as residential, which is quite wrong. Just like we said 2 weeks ago, they prefer security more than safety, and safety is much more important than looking for security.
This is the second time in 2 weeks the Dosumu market will be experiencing fire incident after one that claimed 4 buildings, leading one of them to collapse to the ground. The constant fire incidents in the market are bringing questions of safety, especially as it constitutes the commercial center of Lagos State. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshawa.
In the meantime, the Lagos State government has ordered the indefinite suspension of commercial activities in Dosumu Market and its environs in response to the fire outbreak, which resulted in the collapse of 4 buildings. This directive was issued by Bola Olumegbon-Lawal, the special advisor to the governor on Central Business District, during a visit to assess the situation. According to Lawal, the closure was deemed necessary to avert further loss of life or ensure the maintenance of peace and order in the affected area. The markets affected by the closure include Dosumu, Nnamdi Azikwe, Moshalashi, Woro Pedro, Obanikoro Streets, among others. Residents and traders in these areas are urged to cooperate with emergency responders and adhere to safety protocols during this challenging time. Earlier, the Permanent Secretary, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Femi Oke Osani-Tolu, spoke to News Central correspondent Bettina Mweli on the development.
Since yesterday, we've been working. All the emergency responders are on the ground. We have localized the fire, and the type of fire you are now seeing are the fire under the rubbles. And to us, it's not a threat because we've curtailed it. However, the threats or the challenges are that some of the buildings that were burned are very, very unstable. And you can see that systematically, strategically, we are pulling them down to ground zero. But however, before we could pull any building out, we will carry out solid material testing on all the buildings that were involved. From the last count, the number of buildings that were involved are 14. So we're on top of it. And the good thing is that we've taken ownership of it. We appeal to the good people of Lagos State to remain cool, calm, and collected. We are on top of challenges. And all what we are doing it under the watch of Mr. Governor. All the top echelon that are important in managing of emergency in Lagos State are on the ground. And with that, we are able to ensure safety of life and property. So we are doing everything that is humanly possible to ensure.
In a related development, traders who lost their goods recently at the popular Wuse market located in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, say life has been very difficult for them and their families since the fire incident. They're calling for governments to come to their aid as they have lost all they have to the fire. Marvelous Obomanu visited the location a month after the incident and now reports.
For 9 shop owners in one of the biggest markets in Abuja, the fire incident that ravaged parts of the popular Wuse market on the 12th of March 2023 continues to be a day difficult to forget. Some of the traders accuse the police of being responsible, saying in their attempt to restore peace during a fracas between the shop owners and the market task force, they unintentionally caused the fire.
This is the site of the Wuse market that was recently gutted by fire, and some of these materials are some of the materials that were used in roofing these shops.
Honestly, it has not been easy. I've been in and out of depression, but I don't know. I just hope that the government will do what they have to do on time.
Even the future of our children in terms of schooling is being threatened, because with this thing in place like this, I don't think any of us can be able to take care of our families.
We tried to locate some of the traders several weeks after the incident.
Now, some of the market sellers who we've been able to speak with said that ever since this particular incident happened, life has become tough and difficult for them, having to cater for their family and their children in the face of the present economic situation is very difficult. Therefore, they are calling on the government, who have promised to remodel this building and help them to cushion the effect of the loss, to speed up the process, as life is becoming very, very difficult for them.
A businessman that doesn't have any other income coming in, or you are working for government and at the end of the month you are being paid, it's from what you sell is what you take care of your family for. And when that thing is no more, you know how it will affect the family. Because children, they don't care whether your shop burn or not.
The loss we have incurred cannot really be mentioned because it is numerous. Everybody know exactly what happened, and the kind of fire that we met when we came back, it really dealt with us so much. I deal on traveling bags, conference bags, and we do supply of this. And since the incident, it has not been easy for us.
The shop owners, while expressing satisfaction at efforts by the Wuse Market Traders Association in helping interface with the Abuja investment authorities, called on government to speed up the process, saying they are in their need of support. In Abuja for News Central, I am Marvelous Obomano.
Now, persons with disabilities resident in the Karmajiji community of Nigeria's federal capital say the recent fire incident, which destroyed their homes and belongings, has continued to cause untold hardship for many of them. This was as they received relief items from Nigeria's National Emergency Management Agency to support their recovery process. Idong Joseph reports.
While natural disasters such as floods, earthquakes, and fire affects residents of community where they occur, persons with disabilities are often the hardest hit. For this group, whose homes were recently destroyed, with their livelihood lost, following the recent fire that affected the Karmajiji community in Nigeria's capital Abuja, it's been one tale of woe or the other.
All our houses burned, our clothes, everything, we lost everything.
Since I start having leg pain, wherever I go, if they are sharing things, if I'm lucky to have, fine. If I'm not lucky to get, then I go back.
It was a sigh of relief as the National Emergency Management Agency came to their aid, handing over rice, mattresses, clothes, blankets, among others.
This rice what they give us, at least if Salah, like tomorrow or next tomorrow be Salah, I will use an at least much as I go buy tomatoes, onions, join together cook.
The rapper, one day sewing for their children, so now, thank God, this Neymar, they come help us, they give us a lot these things.
Thanks to Almighty God, now we have enough to eat and satisfy. My joy is what they gave me today is going to be useful. Me and my children are going to eat and be satisfied.
Commensurating with the recipients of the humanitarian gesture, the Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency charged them to make good use of the items received.
Please, these items are not for sale. They're meant to make you and your family members happy and to give you a start before you get back on your feet and return to normalcy.
I want to take this opportunity to thank you so very much for this huge support that we are seeing here today, that is going to the disability community, those who were affected in that fire incident in Karmajiji.
The Director General also took time to reiterate her commitment to always prioritize the rights of persons with disabilities in all its operations. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
And now let's do a break. When we get back, more news inside this hour. Welcome back. Now, the Labour Party has issued a warning to the Nigeria Labour Congress against hijacking the political platform, saying it lacks the power to sack the Julius Abure National Working Committee. A statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, Labour Party described the stakeholders meeting as an illegal assembly of a handful of aggrieved former members of the party and some social media tigers who are not card-carrying members of LP. He said the political commission of the NLC is a front for Comrade Joe Ajaero, which he has empowered for the purpose of his political ambition come 2027. The party's response comes following Monday's resolution taken by the NLC Political Commission at a stakeholders meeting in Abuja. In the communique released after the gathering, the unionists voided the national convention that returned Abure and his NWC members to office. Now, to discuss this, I am joined by a political analyst, Nelson Ekujumi. Mr. Nelson, good afternoon. Good to have you here.
Good afternoon, and Ramadan Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters.
Thank you very much, sir. So let us talk about Comrade Joe Ajaero and his perhaps maybe ambition. Do you interpret the involvement of individuals like Comrade Joe Ajaero in the conflict, particularly in light of the accusation that he may be using the NLC as a platform to further his political ambitions?
Well, that allegation, is pregnant with a lot of meanings. But the fact remains that in the history of Nigeria's unionism, we have never seen the leadership of the NLC engage in what we call a fight in a political party. This is the first time in our political history. This is the first time in our democratic journey that we are witnessing such. And for a lot of us, we are shocked that Mr. Joe Ajaero cannot even wait to distinguish between being a politician as well as being the number one labor union leader in Nigeria. And it's rather unfortunate the road in which Mr. Joe Ajaero and his cohorts are traveling. And if you ask me, it is totally despicable that Mr. Ajaero can want to assume, and his NLC leadership can want to assume powers that they don't have under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because you and I know very well that a political party must have fulfilled some conditions, a political organization must have fulfilled some conditions before it is registered as a political party. And there are processes and procedures for taking actions within a political party. So any group of people cannot just wake up one morning and say you are sacking, the leadership of a political party. That is the greatest absurdity. And it's an insult on the integrity of Nigeria.
Okay, so now let's talk about the Labour Party and the NLC. The Labour Party seemed like a beacon of hope for most people who perhaps maybe have been aggrieved when it comes to all the political parties we have in Nigeria. The NLC have upheld, helped workers or individuals when it comes to what they want regarding what they need the government to help them out with in terms of labor. But with the infighting now going on between these two, what potentially will this mean for both organizations, the NLC and the Labour Party? Do we still see them, or would people still see them as what they set out to be? Mr. Nelson, are you there? We seem to be having problems with Mr. Nelson. Nelson, can you hear me?
Well, first and foremost, anybody who says he's joining the Labour Party because it's I'm here, I'm listening to you and I'm replying you. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
I think we have a bit of a delay.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay, any person who has joined the political party because of disaffection that that party represents the only hope to restore Nigeria must be an Alice in Wonderland, because every political party will be people by Nigerians, and you cannot determine the character of a man until you go to a relationship with him or her. So those who belong to the Labour Party, it's unfortunate what the NLC is trying to turn the party into. It's just like a man who has given birth to a girl or a boy, and your son or your daughter has come of age, and he or she has entered into the contract of marriage. And because of some, disagreements in the home of maybe your daughter and her husband, or your son and his wife, you now go in there and say, this marriage, I'm the owner of my son, so my son should return home. You and I should know very well that there's a contract, and under the law, you don't have the powers to dissolve a marriage. It is only the court that can dissolve a marriage in Nigeria, or either of the parties, voluntarily. So the Labour Party, the NLC, with what it is embarking on, like you and I know very well, it is outside the provisions of the law. It's an exercise in futility because it is an illegality. No, the Labour Party is never and will never be a department or an organ of the Nigerian Labour Congress. The Labour Party is a political party. If the NLC has that strength, it should be able to galvanize the National Working Committee of that party or other organs of the party to do the needful within the party. But using the umbrella of the Nigerian Labour Congress to attempt, to undermine our democracy like the NLC is presently doing, is something everybody must come out and condemn. If you belong to the party or you are the founder of the party, you must recognize that we are a country governed by laws. And in being governed by laws, it means that there are processes and procedures for doing things. And within the party, there are processes and procedures for taking, party action. You can't just say because you belong to the party or because you are the founding member, then you feel the party has now become NLC, Labour Party, PLC. Absolutely not. That is not the registration the party has under the Constitution of Nigeria. The party is recognized or registered under the Constitution as a political party that will contest election to take over the reins of power if the people so desire at the polls.
Okay, now let's talk about the allegations of corruption and forgery. To what extent do you believe the allegations and the fraud cases leveled against the Labour Party leadership do you think it will influence the dynamic of the dispute? And how should they be addressed?
Well, it's out there in the public domain that the Labour Party chairman, President Mr. Julius Aburi, has a lot of allegations hanging around his neck. But I can tell you for free, as a social scientist, the persons are making these allegations, they all know that we're a country governed by laws. They are the anti-corruption agencies in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And under the law, if anybody is holding public position or being a member of a political party and he has committed acts that undermine public trust, there are agencies that you can report him or her to, and those agencies will investigate. But just mouthing corruption, and not substantiating it by doing the needful. I'm sorry, some people like us will not run with it. It's just a mere rumor. And if they want to really address the issues, the party has organs, the party has structures, the party has processes. They must be ready to go to the processes and organs of the party. Abure is not the first chairman of the Labour Party, and it won't be the last. The party will definitely outlive Abure. So no matter how angry, no matter how desperate you are when an issue occurs, it behoves on anybody to admonish that look, we must play by the rules, and if the rules are the laws governing the relationship, the engagement in the Labour Party with regards to disciplinary or whatever activities officers of the party might have committed. After all, the officers of the party, including the chairman that we are talking about, didn't get into office on his own. He didn't make himself the party chairman. He was either appointed by the party NWC or elected, by party delegates. So you should go back to this legal routes to do the needful within the party.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Nelson Ekujumi. We appreciate that you took time to be with us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
A governorship aspirant of the All Progressives Congress in Ondo State, Gbenga Edema, has pleaded with the national chairman of the party, Abdullahi Ganduje, and the National Working Committee to investigate the certificate forgery allegations leveled against Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. The appeal was contained in the petition made available to journalists in Abuja. The plea comes few hours after a legal practitioner, Oladotun Hassan, similarly petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, and the Police Service Commission over an alleged move by a top-ranking police officer to tamper with the report of an ongoing probe into the academic credentials of the governor, an allegation that Aiyedatiwa's lawyer has since refuted. Edema said he was not deliberately petitioning the party leadership out of envy. In the northwest of Nigeria, the Kano State High Court has fixed April 17th for the arraignment of the immediate past governor of Kano and the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, on bribery charges. Ganduje will be arraigned alongside his wife, Hafsat's son, Umar, and 5 others on 8 counts bordering on $413,000 and 1.38 billion naira bribery. The Kano state government said it had assembled 15 witnesses to testify against them. Governor Abba Yusuf had on assumption of office accused Ganduje of misappropriating public funds and allocating plots of land to some members of his immediate family. Let's also tell you that violence has erupted again in Benue State, with fresh attacks by armed groups across several communities claiming the lives of 5 people. The attacks targeted areas within Agatu, Apa, and Gwe West local government areas of the state. According to locals, several others sustained injuries and some individuals reportedly abducted in Apa local government area. In a somber tone of events, the Benue State government conducted a mass burial for 17 victims of a previous attack by armed herders on Tuesday. Speaking on behalf of Governor Hyacinth Alia at the mass burial ceremony, Deputy Governor Sanwo-Olu emphasized the urgent need for a sustainable solution to end the recurrent attacks on Benue communities by armed herders. Now, reports of infant deaths should be a thing of the past in Nigeria, given the number of skilled medical personnel that the nation boasts of. To ensure that child mortality is reduced reasonably, health professionals have been given more practical trainings to tackle challenges during birth. Now, News Central's Chinwe Ugele reports that the training was offered by Nigerian doctors for Abia State personnel.
Training program is to educate health professionals, especially midwives, nurses, and health officials at the various localities on how to take care of babies upon delivery.
So our task for the first day is to make sure that everybody that's here walks away knowing how to help every baby breathe, so every baby has a chance at life.
Health experts say the cause of child mortality is associated with what the caregivers in the labor room do or fail to do within the first minute of baby's birth.
We want to make sure that our very skilled workers here come away with those skills and knowledge to continue to do the amazing work that they do every day.
In some cases, babies who do not cry at birth are proclaimed dead erroneously, which is part of the issues the training seeks to address.
At least we have known how to help babies survive by resuscitating them, those that are not breathing when they are being delivered, and those that did not cry when they are delivered. At least they have told us the techniques.
With the knowledge that we've acquired here, it's going to promote the health of babies and reduce the mortality of newborn.
Wife of Abia State Governor Priscilla Oti underscores the importance of the training.
This initiative aims to equip health workers on the best practices and techniques to ensure that every newborn receives the highest quality of care and attention required to thrive.
As part of the programs lined up for the Health Mission Week in the state, the physicians also trained federal road safety workers on how to manage trauma during accidents.
It's really important for everybody to know how to do CPR. You don't have to be a medical personnel to be able to save a life. It's actually very important that every community, every member, every Nigerian knows how to administer CPR, because you can save a life.
AMPA decided to come together to offer this training to health workers in Abia State on how to take care of babies upon delivery to ensure that they live as long as they should and not die at birth. In News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Nigeria's anti-graft agency has arrested 170 suspects and secured the conviction of 23 others in a major crackdown on illegal currency trading in just 1 month. Details of the development were revealed in a document sanctioned by Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Bola Olumegbon-Lawal, titled EFCC Alert. In addition to the arrests and convictions, the EFCC revealed ongoing collaborations with international law enforcement agencies, including the International Criminal Police Organization, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the governments of the United Kingdom, Northern Ireland, and Kenya. This collaboration aims to extradite Nnamdi Azikwe, an executive of Binance Holding Limited, in connection with a $35.4 million money laundering investigation. The EFCC boss emphasized the agency's commitment to combat financial crimes, highlighting the success of the recent operations. Coming up, Liberia Senate approves establishment of War Crimes Court, and we'll bring you the details after the break. Now, plans are underway in South Sudan to conduct long-awaited elections at the end of the year. The head of the National Elections Commission, Benego Akok, on Tuesday announced that voters' registration is set to commence in June as part of preparations for the first ever poll in the history of the world's youngest nation. Akok outlined a draft timetable for the electoral process, emphasizing the Commission's commitment to conducting the elections, although a definitive date for the vote has not been announced. The commencement of voter registration in June marks a significant step towards fulfilling the long-awaited democratic aspirations of South Sudanese citizens. Since gaining independence from Sudan in 2011, South Sudan has faced immense challenges, including chronic violence, poverty, and natural disasters.
Law says registration must begin 6 months before. Yes, we will begin now in June, then we moved ahead. Today, this is the second day of my declaration of civic education, which is our first priority.
Now, a Moroccan activist has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for social media posts deemed insulting to the king and critical of Morocco's normalized relations with Israel. Abderrahmane Zandak, a member of the Ban al-Wal Hussein party, was arrested in March following his criticism of Arab rulers and countries normalizing ties with Israel during the Gaza conflict. Zandak's lawyer said he was also charged with spreading false information about Rabat's management of a massively destructive 2023 earthquake. In the meantime, Al-Wal Hussein has denounced the sentence as unjust, highlighting their ongoing protests in support of Palestine. Human rights groups have criticized Morocco for restricting freedom of expression and targeting those with opposing views. Still ahead, Biden criticizes Netanyahu's approach to Hamas war. We'll bring you details after the break. Welcome back. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden says he believes Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is making a mistake in his handling of Gaza. Bearing his mind on the onslaught on Gaza during an interview with journalists, the U.S. leader said he does not agree with Netanyahu's approach. He said Gaza should have total access to all food and medicine for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Last week, Biden warned that ongoing U.S. support for the war depended on Israel allowing in more food and medicine. Israel has denied impeding the entry of aid or its distribution inside Gaza and has accused UN agencies on the ground of failing to get the aid that is allowed into the people who need it. Palestinian Muslims rushed to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site in Islam, to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr holiday, marking the end of the fasting month of Ramadan. At the mosque compound in Jerusalem, morning prayers were made to start the festival, which marks the end of the holy fasting month of Ramadan. In Gaza, the 2024 observance of Ramadan is taking place against the backdrop of a growing humanitarian crisis. The people face the possibility of famine, violence, and displacement on a daily basis as Israel's war on Gaza continues. An invasion of the city of Rafah by Israel's military, where many people in the northern part of the territory were told to evacuate, appears imminent. Now, Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu has disclosed that the federal government will take action against power distribution companies that fail to provide 20 hours of electricity to customers in Band A category. This is part of the adjustments made under the revised tariff system for Band A consumers. Minister Adelabu in a post also highlighted other provisions under the tariff adjustment reform, including a projected 1.5 trillion naira in savings for the federal government and continued subsidies for bands below A. Adelabu provided an update on the pilot stage of the Presidential Power Initiative, noting progress in the installation and commissioning of power transformers and plans for upgrading the transmission network. Abuja Discos was fined 20 million naira for wrongful billing of Band B customers with Band A electricity tariff rates. The Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture has called for a change in the currency used for the collection of duties by the Nigerian Customs Service. NACCIMA President Dele Oye made the request in response to the Central Bank of Nigeria's recent directive on foreign currency collated for Naira loans. My apologies. Now, Oye argued that all legitimate government transactions, include import duties, should be conducted in Naira. He urged the Nigerian Customs Service to cease collecting duties based on the United States dollar rate, as the uncertainty has had detrimental effects on manufacturers and businesses. NACCIMA is hopeful that the Presidential Committee's report on fiscal and tax reform due in April 2024 will address this issue. The Nigerian government has announced a two-pronged approach to increase foreign exchange reserves and stabilize the Naira. Finance Minister Wale Edun revealed plans to repatriate foreign-held assets back into the country's formal financial sector in the second quarter of 2024. Now, this initiative aims to boost FX liquidity and comes alongside the issuance of foreign-denominated bonds. He disclosed that the government is also utilizing recently issued Nigerian treasury bills and bonds to settle advances from the Central Bank of Nigeria. While this strategy comes at a higher cost, it is seen as a temporary measure to increase US dollar inflow. In addition to these financial measures, the government is implementing several executive orders to address the FX shortage. And now sports. Football. Super Falcons of Nigeria have secured a long-awaited qualification for the Olympics after a 16-year absence from the competition. The 9-time African champions secured qualification on Tuesday night after playing out a goalless draw against Banyana Banyana of South Africa to win 1-0 on aggregate. The 1-0 win by the Super Falcons when they hosted the South Africans in Abuja last Friday was enough to see Falcons through the games. Super Falcons are now set to face Spain, Japan and Brazil at the women's football event of the 2024 Paris Olympics later this year.
Oh, extremely proud. It's been, I think, 16 years since Nigeria has gone to the Olympics. So it was a big accomplishment for us to come in here on the road and do what we had to do to get a result.
I think we wanted to go forward a lot more, and sometimes, especially in the first half, we played backwards and had possession but no progression, and we tried to say, let's move, let's go forward. And in the second half, I think we gave everything we had. You know, it just wouldn't go in. One or two chances either side of the keeper didn't go in, but very proud of the team. I think we gave everything we had today.
Now, Zambia needed extra time to get past Morocco in Rabat as the Copper Queens turned a 2-1 first leg deficit into a 3-2 aggregate triumph with a 2-0 win at Morley Hassan Stadium to qualify for the Olympics. Captain and Orlando Pride striker Barbara Bender opened the scoring for Zambia in the 38th minute and secured the ticket to the Olympics when she converted a penalty in the 105th minute. The Zambians will be in the tough Group B group in France, along with former champions, the United States and Germany, as well as World Cup semi-finalists Australia. They opened their campaign against the Americans in Nice on July 25th. And more now, South African police have arrested 6 suspects in connection with the killing of South African footballer Luke Fleurs. The arrest was carried out this morning in Soweto. The 24-year-old former junior international, who played for the country's most popular club, the Kaizer Chiefs, was shot and killed when his car was hijacked in Johannesburg last week. The incident occurred last Wednesday at a petrol station where assailants shot Fleurs in the chest and fled the scene in his vehicle. Meanwhile, authorities have since recovered Fleurs' vehicle. Now we have more news inside of sports, but maybe on our next encounter here for News Central TV on News Now. Now, let's find out more now. Before we go, let's take out some of the major stories that we brought your way. Lagos State Governor Sanwo-Olu has ordered indefinite closure of Dosumu Market. Liberia's Senate has approved the establishment of War Crimes Court. And we also told you that South Sudan is set to begin voters registration in June ahead of elections. Remember to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, and AVO TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Mazino Appeal.